Billy, another Tuesday, man. How to deal with difficult teammates and coaches, man. This is a really exciting topic. Not exciting if you're dealing with it yourself, dealing with coaches and teammates that are a pain in the ass, but exciting that we get to share some insight, some things that are going to help some kids, help some parents, so on and so forth. Diving into it. So a couple of things I just wanted to start off with is that understanding that some athletes, there's a percentage of athletes that are primarily motivated by performing for others. So I'm coming into this with a sense of empathy for them, because I myself wasn't primarily motivated by that, but I know there's a certain percentage. I would roughly say about 33% of athletes are primarily motivated by, hey, I want to do well for my teammates, I want to do well for my coaches, I want to do well for others, right? The very selfless type. So and then there's athletes that are motivated by other things, but this can become a really difficult subject for a lot of athletes. So I'm excited to dive into it. So excited to have this beautiful day here in Central PA for us. But anyways, yeah, let's kick it off, man.
Yeah, man, I had to come outside again for this week. Enjoy this beautiful day. This whole week should be gorgeous.
Absolutely, man.
But yeah, with anytime you're dealing with interpersonal relationships, whether it's teammates, coaches, even family relationships, your peers, anyone, there's going to be some people that you just don't agree with, or some people that you don't get along with. So first of all, I would just like to say that's totally normal. If you're not getting along with a teammate or two, or, one of your coaches, sometimes, you don't agree on what they're saying. You can't seem to get on the same page. That's totally normal and fine, because that means that you have your own opinions. And you're staying true to your individuality, which is good. So, you want to be able to still have, your own personality when dealing with teammates and coaches, and not succumbing to everything that they want you to say or do.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And not to sidetrack it off, but I definitely have to put this in here where, you and I are starting to go out, or actually starting to work with teams, travel teams, high school teams, collegiate teams, so on and so forth. We're going to go out and actually visit the teams in person. So if you're watching this and you're a team and you want some help on the mental side, just know that Billy and I are here to serve and here to help. But anyways, going back to dealing with teammates, man, staying true to yourself. I want to take it back to the beginning of the relationship with the player or the coach, because you can only get that first impression one time, right? The old saying, don't judge a book by its cover. You can only get that first impression one time. But more importantly, at the beginning of a relationship, whether it's with a teammate or with a coach, building rapport, building some sort of foundation, some sort of solid relationship at the very beginning is going to be crucial, because it's much harder to recover from, a bad beginning to a relationship than it is to actually just build a solid relationship to begin with. Would you agree?
Honestly, I would respectfully disagree. In my opinion,
yeah.
I mean, I see where you're coming from, and obviously it's good to make a quality first impression. But for me, it's more about, each day showing that, you want to be there. You're putting in the work. You're being coachable. You're being a good teammate. So these are things that you can do every single day to try to improve, where, some people get really nervous for a first meeting, a first practice or whatever, and they might not be able to kind of like depict how they naturally are, because they're a little nervous or they're not feeling right. So I think it's more about what you do each day, and then it adds up, to a cumulative, more of a cumulative relationship, rather than just like a first impression is so important. That's why when they have like tryouts or anything that, like, you're an internship, whatever, it's not just one day. It's not just one meeting. Hopefully you have a few weeks or even months to really, show who you are and, prove that you belong to be wherever you're trying to get, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I agree. You make some good points for sure. But, our brain's going to make associations with that person from the very first time that we meet them. We're going to relate it to other people. We're going to relate it to other experiences that we had. But regardless, there's going to be difficult coaches, difficult teammates that we deal with. Agreed?
Agreed.
So how do we provide some value? How do we help all of the people that are watching in dealing with those relationships? Let's start with the teammate. Let's start with a teammate that's difficult to deal with, and then we'll go on to the coach side of it. So the first thing I'd like to say about teammates is one of the biggest pieces of information, one of the biggest ways to look at this, because oftentimes it's just about seeing things from a different perspective, right? Mm-hmm. But dealing with a difficult teammate, understand that the majority of the time, that teammate that's a pain in the ass to deal with, that's maybe rude, that's maybe inconsiderate, that's negative towards other teammates, negative towards you, putting other people down. Majority of the time, they're dealing with their own shit and they're reflecting it on other people because they're trying to cover up what's really going on inside of them because they don't want to deal with it. They don't want to deal with the inner turmoil that eats at them every single day. So their strategy to deal with all that negativity is to reflect it or deflect it onto others with their negativity, putting others down, putting the coach down, talking badly about others, so on and so forth. So what are your 2 cents on that?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like they say, a bully has the lowest self-esteem of anyone, because they have to put other people down to feel good, which is definitely true, unfortunately. But it's funny. Did you ever experience where like you're playing against someone from another team or like even someone on your team, like you guys just tried out, you're new on the team, and first impressions are like, damn, I hate that guy. Like that guy just really gets under my skin. Like, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Right. And then in the coming weeks, or months, you two actually, start talking and you 100%. Actually become like best of friends. This has happened to me countless times. And it usually happened with like playing against someone where I'm like, damn, I hate that guy, dude. He's so annoying. Mostly it's because he's good, so he's torching me. He's like hitting all my shit or like I can't get a hit off him, which is normal. And then it kind of seems like then we get on the same team and you're like, oh, I actually relate to that person more than anyone. But with dealing with teammates where you might not agree with everything, you have to look at some commonalities. So like, what is your common goal? Your common goal as teammates in any sport is to win games and hopefully win a championship or win a ring. So if you look at it from that perspective of we're all in this together to try to achieve a common goal, you can try to relate to your teammates a little better. And it starts from the top down with the coaching as well, which is why now a lot of professional teams have the sports psychologists and like the mental coaches, because they also deal with the interpersonal relationships of the teammates.
Yes.
So, and a good exercise for coaches and parents would be, to get the players together and have each player think of, at least 2 or 3 things that they admire about each teammate, maybe 1 or 2. If you don't agree with, if you don't like the guy, okay, think of 1 thing, maybe they work really hard, or maybe they have a lot of confidence, which can come off as cockiness. But maybe you admire their confidence, or you admire what they can do at the plate, or you admire what they can do with their defense. But if you do this exercise and then you actually physically say the 1 thing you admire about each player, it kind of just shows that we're all human and we all are aspiring to do great things, and that can kind of bring teammates together that aren't normally agreeing on things.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of science behind what you just shared too, because they took the EKG and an EEG, right? So measuring brain waves and heart waves, right? So you can apply this to more than just athletics, but the person that's negative, that's cynical, that's frustrated with somebody else. In this case, we're talking about teammates. Those 2 waves are going to be almost completely opposite, right? So they're going to be in conflict. When someone is practicing appreciation, like you're talking about, or gratitude, or just being thankful, those 2 measures actually are in sync. So the brain and the heart, the brain and the waves from your body are actually synced up. So there's more than just you saying that you're appreciating somebody else. There's actually science behind what actually happens in your body and in your brain when you actually do that practice that you just talked about. So I'm 1,000% on board for anybody trying that out.
Yeah, man, gratitude trumps all, honestly. They say even with your visualization, if you can kind of incorporate the emotion of gratitude in your visualization, that will make your body think that that's more real and that it's actually happening, and that will allow your visualization to be that much more effective just by practicing some gratitude with it. So yeah, gratitude goes really, really, really far.
Yeah, so let's take it even a step further. So even if your coaches don't get the team together, even if your parents don't get the team together, and you're struggling to relate or you're struggling to get along with one of your other teammates, then you can still do this practice on your own where you're just identifying at least one thing that you appreciate or that you respect in the other person.
Mm-hmm.
And then it makes a complete connection here. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
A little bit. You're just cutting out a little.
Yeah.
There we go. That seems better.
Connection. Yeah.
Is that you or me?
I think it's me. Oh, good. But yeah, where I was going with it is, got to get back on track here, man. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on this? Because I'm a firm believer that you don't have to be best of friends with the people that you're playing with, that your teammates that you're playing with, but there has to be some sort of respect. There has to be some sort of appreciation of your teammates towards a common goal. Do you think that the athletes have to be friends or friendly?
Good question. Not even, definitely not friends. You don't have to be friends. You don't even have to really be friendly. I'd say it's just a matter of respect. So just showing a little bit of respect for the other person where you don't have to go up and like, bullshit and be their best friend. Like, what's up, buddy? How you doing, man? You could just make eye contact. What's up? We're here to win a ball game. We're here with a common goal. So as long as you show a teammate respect, I think that goes a really long way. And also being open and honest with your teammates goes really far too. And that includes the negative and the positive things. If your teammate does something cool and they do something really well, tell them, say, damn, dude, that was a sick play. Or like, I really like what you said to Jimmy about his air, to keep his head up. That was cool. Way to pick him up. And then on the other hand, if you don't agree with what they're doing, I think you should be open and honest with that too, but something important to think about is, do we want to hash out these things in a game, or do we want to wait till after the game or at practice the next day? So somebody's slamming their helmet, after they get out and you don't like that, would it be a good idea to go up to them right away and be like, dude, don't slam your fucking helmet. That's not how we do it here. Maybe, but probably not, because that would, in my opinion, that would make them even angrier, and then that could escalate even into something physical. Yeah. So I think it would be best to, take note of what they're doing, forget about it that day, and then the next day at practice, bring it up to, hey, man, I know you're frustrated, and I know you want the team to win, so give them a positive means first. I know you want to do well, but when you throw your helmet, it really upsets other people on the team and kind of makes you seem selfish. So I get where you're coming from, but I don't think you should be slamming your helmet. We can all try to control our emotions a little better. So picking the right time to, bring something up, and then also saying the right thing is huge. You don't just go up to someone and be like, you're an asshole. Why are you slamming your helmet? I know you have a lot of, of whatever. I know you're really excited, and I know you care a lot about the game, but we can't be slamming our equipment. So it's something like that. Oh, am I on this live alone? Okay. So being open and honest with your teammates is huge. Trying to say the right things while still showing them respect is a big influence. So if you don't agree with someone, you can really just try to show them the level of respect that you would want to be shown. And this goes for coaches, players, equipment staff, athletic trainers, whatever. It's great to treat everyone with respect.
Yeah, I just hit go live. We're live. Round two.
Hey, here we go. We talked about being in disagreement with your teammates. Maybe we can look at, if you don't agree with a certain coach or even the head coach, and what we can do. Steps we can take to try to make that relationship, a little more agreeable. So, what do you think, Sam?
Yeah, jumping into coaches for a little sidetrack there with some technical difficulties. That's the great thing dealing with technology. So dealing with coaches. So here's my honest opinion on dealing with coaches. First and foremost, I do not believe, I 100% do not believe in quitting in the middle of the season. If you have a disagreement, or if you have a really pain in the ass coach and you're a youth athlete and you have the opportunity to go play for another team or anything like that, I 100% do not believe in quitting, regardless of how shitty the situation may be. And that's my belief. You can believe whatever you want. Maybe you have a different belief, Billy. The second part of it is, if it's between seasons, 100%. Go change teams. Go find a better scenario. Go find a better situation. But not in the middle of the season. Even though you might have a difficult relationship with that coach, you're letting the rest of your team down. And it's going to be a good learning experience, regardless of what age you're at, whether you're in college and you want to transfer, you want to switch high schools, you want to switch travel teams as a youth player. Switch in the offseason. Don't let your entire team down because of some conflict with the coach. So do you hold the same thoughts? Do you hold the same beliefs? Or do you think a player should be able to jump ship in the middle of the season?
I agree, unless the coach is like physically or mentally abusive, where it's really, really bad.
Then you're borderline legal issues,
Yeah, but like even mentally though, if really, you just don't agree, like this guy's just doing really bad things, then I think you can get out of there. But yeah, you want to stick it out, because if you let your son or daughter quit in the middle of the season, what kind of values is that showing them for the rest of their life? That kind of just shows that they can quit and do, whatever they want, whenever they want, where the real world doesn't work that way. If you quit your job, you don't have income to pay your bills. But I agree that, in between seasons, if you don't agree with the coach, then maybe look into, changing teams. But most of the time, I think that players and parents can learn to work with the coach instead of against them. And a lot of the times when the parents are complaining about the coach, it actually turns out that maybe their kid isn't the most coachable or the best teammate, or the most agreeable person either. So it's kind of, putting differences aside and trying to, again, find that common goal of wanting to win, wanting to get better, improving as a human, and trying to look at it that way. And a lot of parents just like, oh, I don't like that, the travel coach, so we're leaving. We went to another travel team. Oh, guess what? I don't like this travel coach either, so we're going somewhere else.
Yeah.
And that happens so much. And a lot of the times you got to look in the mirror and say, maybe it's me that isn't agreeable, instead of, all these coaches that I don't get along with.
So here's the thing, and I agree with you 100%. Players jump in teams and shit, they'll just start their own travel team, Seriously, they'll start their own travel team.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I'm also a firm believer in that you have to be so fucking good that they can't help but play you, or they can't help but put you in situations to succeed. If you're a fringe player, if you're a borderline player, yeah, you do deserve your opportunities, but at the same time, your energy, your focus shouldn't be on what the coach is doing wrong, or what the coach could do better, or your coach doesn't like me, or politics. I know politics always come up. You have to be so fucking good that there's no discussion about it, that you will play, that you will get your time, that you will be on the field, that you will be on the court, whatever sport you're playing. You have to be that good. You can't be a borderline player and start pointing fingers at somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Because until you put in the time and the energy and the effort to become one of those elite players that can't help but be in the game, be on the court, then all of your time and energy and focus should be on making yourself better, not in a selfish sense, but making yourself better so that you help your team, so that you help your coach, so that you help, whatever situation that you're in. That's where your time and your energy and your focus should be, not on pointing fingers at your coach or your assistant coach or the general manager. It's not their fault. Now, obviously, on a professional level, this conversation changes completely, because then all of a sudden this thing's involved, money's involved, and it's a completely different conversation. But we're talking about at the amateur level.
Right. A lot of the time it's, I don't like the coach because I'm not playing, and that's usually what happens. So then if you go to another team, are you going to play there? Maybe if the team's worse, but wouldn't you rather be on a better team, better coaching, and maybe get a few innings here and there rather than, being the star player on the shittiest team in the world? In my opinion, I'd rather, work harder and try to crack the starting lineup.
I guess parents will complain less spending 24 hours with their own kid to realize their children are not angels, perfect at everything.
Right. I think a lot of people are giving more respect to teachers too, because parents see how difficult it is to have to teach their kids at home. So they're showing a lot more respect to teachers and the difficulties, that come along with that profession. And that the same thing goes with coaches.
Yeah, that's a good one. Speak to everyone so you seem fair, or that you adapt to each personality. I want to take this for a second, and then Billy, I want to get your 2 cents.
Okay, that's a great question.
Yeah, there was a, okay, so I had been coaching for about 4 years at the time, until I learned this strategy from John Wooden. And John Wooden, the elite, one of the arguably the greatest coach of all time, NCAA championships, for those of you that don't know. He would sit his team down every single season at the beginning of the season, the very first practice, and he would tell them, you guys are all different. You have a different skill set. You have a different personality. You have different attributes that you bring to this team. You have different physical skill sets. You have different mental skill sets. You're all like a snowflake in that sense, and where you're all different. And, maybe snowflake is a bad term today because it might insinuate that somebody's soft, but it's the fact that everyone is unique and everyone is different. And with that being said, John Wooden would say, just because you're all different, you don't all deserve the same treatment. You all deserve a unique treatment. Some players need a little bit more aggressiveness as a coach. Some people need a little bit more of a pat on the back, but they all deserve and they all need a unique coaching perspective. So John Wooden would tell them this, and he would say, you're all unique in that sense, and I'll be the one to decide what that treatment is. So obviously he's the authority. He's telling them that they're all unique, that they're all different, but they're all going to get treatment based on what he thinks is best for them. So no, definitely not treating all athletes the same. I think that's complete BS when a coach says, oh, I want to treat you all the same, so it's all fair treatment. No, everyone's completely different. Everyone has different personality. Everyone has different skill sets. Everyone has different needs, motivations. So it has to be completely individualized by, their personality, by their skill set, by, a ton of different variables. And it's up to the coach to decide that. And they have to have some awareness to make the best decisions for the player.
Exactly. It takes a good coach to be able to tell, what's the best way to motivate this athlete. So that comes back on the coach, where he's got to be able to see, what the athlete's personality is, and how best to motivate them, how best to get them to work together, as a cohesive unit, as a team. So I completely agree. Everyone is different. So people are going to be treated a little differently on the same team. But as long as, like you said, the coach comes right out and says that, at the first practice, the first meeting, whatever, you can't just leave people like in the open, not knowing what's going on. Why is he treating him differently than him? But if you tell everyone, I want what's best for you and I want what's best for the team. So I'm going to treat each person, the way they need to be treated to bring us to where we need to be as a ball club.
And,
so
and it seems so simple to do that, right? But I went 3 or 4 years. I never had a coach tell me that. Right. I never had a coach sit me down and tell me that. But it seems so simple. It seems so simple just to clarify, you're all going to get different treatment because you're all different. But like you said, if you don't tell them that, then all of a sudden they run scenarios in their head that, oh, coach likes so-and-so more. Oh, coach doesn't like me. Or, oh, coach gives so-and-so a hard time. He's a pain in the ass. Then you run all of these different scenarios in your head because you're not clear on why people are being treated different. when it's just about setting the stage from the very beginning. But it's so simple, yet so many coaches neglect to do it because they don't know, or they don't want to, or I don't know.
Or like the athletic director or the school board is pressing them too, where you need to treat everyone the same and fairly. You know, I know coaches get a lot of backlash from the people that they have to report to as well, so that could have something to do with it. But like we talked about with, you know, not agreeing with your coach because you're not playing, you know, hopefully there's not many coaches in this world that are going to play, you know, players because they like them more or because they have more money, you know, even though that does happen. You know, coach has to be an idiot to not play the best players. So for you to think that you should be playing when you're not, you know, you have to look at yourself, you know, take a hard look in the mirror and realize that maybe you don't deserve to be playing. Maybe you didn't work hard enough over the off season. Maybe you're not there mentally. Maybe your physical skills aren't there. So I think a lot of it is, you know, trying to figure out what you need to do to make the starting lineup when you're not there, and not just blame the coach saying he's an idiot or it's daddy ball, you know. I don't agree with that, because every coach wants to win, right? So why wouldn't they play the best players?
Agreed. 100%, man. So I know we ran into some technical difficulties, but it's always a pleasure jumping on here, man. You know, we could talk on and on about how to deal with difficult teammates and difficult coaches, but you know, the one thing I want to emphasize is difficult teammates, oftentimes that they're dealing with their own shit, their own negative energy, their own negative thoughts, and they deflect it on others. So have some empathy for them instead of fighting them or being resistant to it. Have some empathy for them that, you know, even though they're being an ass, I should have some empathy because they are just trying to cloud their own BS that they're going on with. And coaches, yeah, there's a lot of talk about coaches, but definitely different personality types is a critical component for a coach to understand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with your teammates, you can be the bigger person, you know. You can be the bigger person and, like you said, show some empathy. That's a great way to look at it. And then with coaches, I think being open and being transparent and honest with teammates and coaches is huge. You know, why am I not playing? Well, why don't I wait till after practice? Definitely after practice. Never before a game, never at a game. Never ask a coach why you're not playing at a game. I repeat, never ask a coach why you're not playing at the game. But after practice, you know, maybe, coach, can I talk to you for a minute? You know, I'm just trying to figure out how I can make the starting lineup. You know, what can I do better to, you know, get in there and get more playing time? Not why the fuck aren't you playing me? You know, that doesn't really come off, you know, good to the coach. Come with the aspect of like, you know, I'm here and I'll do whatever it takes to get on the field. So what can I do? So ask your coach, be honest, be open, and hopefully those relationships, you know, will improve with honesty.
Agreed, man. Tevin, go find that coach and apologize to him. Appreciate you being on here, man. Everyone else watching, thank you. We'll see you guys next Tuesday, 12:34.
Sounds good, man. Thanks for having me. Peace.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that episode. If you did, please smash that subscribe button down below and leave your questions in the comments section, because that's the inspiration behind these videos to help serve you guys specifically with what you're struggling with. And if you'd like to take things a step further, check the links in the description below. If you're interested in our coaching, if you're interested in checking me out on other platforms and connecting with me there. If you're interested in some of our other free training, definitely check it out in the description below. And I will see you guys on the next video.